Welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And it's time to go to the track.
Which horse are you betting on?
Satan's Little Helper? Oh, wait.
That's not a
Greyhounds.
Yes.
Secretariat.
Actually, funny story. I've actually started watching BoJack Horseman.
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
if you've watched it.
No.
Now that you mentioned Secretariat. No. I'm gonna go with Princess.
Ooh, Princess might be a good pony.
Princess might be a good pony. Can you speaking of ponies, can you also buy me a pony?
No.
Will you buy me a pony?
No.
If you love me, you'll buy me a pony.
Ha, I know you're lying. I know you love me, so I'm not buying you a pony.
Rats. If you couldn't gather, this week we are talking about season 3, episode 8, Lisa's Pony. It was an alright episode. We'll get through it. But I don't know if you love me because you're not buying me a pony.
No, I know you love me, so I don't have to buy you a pony.
Air date November 7th, 1991. So we're getting closer and closer to 1992.
I know.
We're getting there. Recap. Homer buys Lisa a pony, but now he must get a second job at Apu's Quickie Mart.
I know.
The Quickie Mart.
Now, I think this is one of, or probably the first episode where he actually gets a real second job.
Yes. Like this is a side job.
Yeah. Like a complete straight up side job. I don't think he's had like a straight up side job for anything before.
Yeah. And I've had 2 jobs, and when we talk about it, it's not fun. Having a second job is not fun. Chalkboard gag this week. Bart bucks are not legal tender. So Bart was trying to give fake money to kids to use as real money, and he got caught.
Well,
assuming that's it.
I mean, like, he started like a prison currency system or something at school, and
it's not legal tender.
It's not legal tender, but it'll buy a bag of chips.
But it's not legal tender.
On the playground.
Oh, on the playground.
On the playground. 10 Bart bucks will buy you a bag of chips. I don't know how you earn Bart bucks.
Being nice to Bart.
I guess so. Bullying.
Bullying.
Go kick that kid's butt. Yeah. Or give me the answers to the test and I'll give you 5 Bart bucks.
Yeah, I could see that. We also get a new sax solo this week.
Yep.
A little different. Couch. Homer gets to the couch first and lies down, and the rest of the Simpsons sit on top of him. And you know what? I think we've kind of done that, like when we were super young. I think we used to do that to our dad a little bit. He'd be like lying down, and we would sit on top of him. But Marge also joined in on that.
Well, I mean, Homer can't take up the whole couch. It's got to be for the family.
You're right.
It's a family couch.
It is a family couch.
Even though it's a wacky, crazy family couch.
Yep. Does weird and wacky things.
Yep. All right. So this week we start with another kind of old-timey reference in the BC era of the Dawn of Man. And you see Monkey Homer and some more primates drinking out of a pool of water, which I always thought, whenever they do these like early year things, it's so weird that they just don't use other Simpsons characters. It would be just as funny to do like Lenny and Carl as apes.
But here's the thing. So I was reading that they had a hard time making primate Homer. So I'm assuming like in the in the early seasons, they were having a little bit more difficulty designing Simpsons characters as other things. They're like, okay, we're just gonna stop at Homer because that's gonna be easier.
Because we could draw other monkeys.
Yes.
And so we see the apes making fire, inventing the wheel, and we see Homer making laziness.
Well, there's a monolith. Yeah, there's a monolith that the monkeys are like praying to, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's from the reference of the 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey. And the funny thing about this is it was just recently that everyone was like, oh, the Simpsons predicted this
the
episode, the monolith in like Utah and a bunch of other areas around the world. Like all of a sudden these random monoliths start showing up. And they're like, oh, the Simpsons predicted monoliths. And I'm like, no.
No, that was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah. But Homer actually, rests up against it, and he invented laziness, so...
I mean, probably.
Yep, and so he starts sleeping, and the monolith starts leaning, and all of a sudden Homer wakes up in the power plant, and he's like... I like how he wakes up like a monkey. He's like...
Oh, yeah.
And
well, it's because he is a monkey.
And he was dreaming about being a monkey, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, as we learn, this is towards the end of Homer's day. And so Lisa calls Homer at the power plant because she needed a new saxophone reed and Marge wasn't home.
Which is weird.
I mean, I guess. So, where was Lisa? Was Lisa calling from home?
Yes, she was at home.
And so, where was Marge? Was she out with Maggie? Was she... I mean, I guess
I don't know.
8 years old? I guess you come home from school. I guess I don't know if that's still...
I don't know. I think... Well, because that's what... Well, she's in second grade.
Second grade, yeah.
I mean, I suppose Bart was home too. So, I mean, maybe they're home for like a half hour by themselves. The other thing that's really weird is that Homer actually at work had his calendar out, and he actually... Because she was calling him about the read for the talent show. Yeah. He had actually, marked the day 7:00, and he's like, I didn't forget about your talent show.
Yeah. Which is nice. So at least at least as of right now, it seems like he is a, good father. Yes. But he's like, Lisa's like, Dad, I broke my last saxophone reed and I need you to get me a new one. It's like, isn't this the kind of thing your mother's better at? And
she's like, yeah.
I called her. She's not home. Now, how did she call her? On what? They don't have cell phones.
Maybe she was at like Aunt Patty and Aunt Selma's.
But no, she's like, I also tried Mr. Flanders, Aunt Patty, Aunt Selma, Dr. Hibbert, Reverend Lovejoy, and that nice old man who caught the snake in our basement. So she called around. Where... Okay, so how did she call Marge? Was she at the salon with Maggie? Like, where? That doesn't make sense. If Marge isn't home, and the only way to get hold of people back then would be landlines, I don't know. How did she call her? She doesn't have a job.
The magic of magic.
Oh, apparently. And so, Lisa tells Homer that she needs a 4.5 reed, which he writes at the bottom of his shoe, and there's actually a piece of gum stuck to the bottom of his shoe that he writes around.
Fix this,
yeah.
And it has an arrow pointing to it.
Which is good.
Now, I have a question, because I know you played the clarinet.
Yep.
Are there different size reeds?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's, I mean, tons of different size reeds. They're thicker. It's like the thickness of the reed to be able to blow through it. And you got to find the right one that actually works with your lips and pressure of blowing and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I was a violinist, so I don't know anything about woodwind instruments. So
yeah. So I like how we get to the school and it's the start of the talent show. It announces that the doors of the school are locked so parents can't leave once their child is done performing.
Which I feel like is a fire hazard.
Yes. I mean, yeah, of course. But I think it's funny that they just don't want parents up and leaving after their kids' performance, because who wants to stay and actually watch other kids perform?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And so he also says that the first 5 rows will get wet. So I don't know
what these talents
are. Maybe like the water, like the water glass sound thing. I guess I don't know what else.
No. The only thing I can think of is maybe somebody's pulling a Gallagher and smashing a pumpkin.
Maybe.
I don't know if that's really a talent, but...
Yeah. And so we see Homer getting to King Toot's music store, which is right next to Moe's, 5 minutes before it closes.
The store closes.
And so he's like, ooh, I got time for a beer, and heads into Moe's.
And so, Homer... tells Moe, hey, get me a beer quickly. I have to go to King Toots to pick up a reed for Lisa. And then Moe suggests Homer, go to the music store first, which, no, I was like, yeah, Moe's right. Go to the music store first, come back, grab a beer, go to the school. And Homer tells him he doesn't tell Moe how to do his job, and then proceeds to tell him how to do his job.
Yeah, he's
telling him
like,
how to pour a beer.
He's like, hey, do I tell you how to do your job? He's like, sorry, Homer. You know, if you tip the glass, there won't be so much foam on top. Sorry, Homer.
Which is well, and here's the other thing. Moe's a bartender. You'd think he'd know that, although he might be doing that to try to short Homer and like make more money.
Well,
because
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Moe and he's shady.
Yep.
So Homer drinks his beer. He's like, "Ooh, I made it with 12 seconds to spare," and but the store is closed, so Homer can't buy Lisa's reed, and he goes back to Moe's Tavern where Jerry, the guy who runs the store, is there sipping a beer. And we cut back to the school, and Milhouse's talent is playing the spoons, which,
yeah, okay. It's kind of a weird one. But I like how Lunch Lady Doris, she's like, "This is a whole lot of nothing."
So, and our judges, and speaking of, we skipped a little bit, but not really. But our judges are Bleeding Gums Murphy, Lunch Lady Doris, and Groundskeeper Willie, and this is actually the first episode that Lunch Lady Doris is in.
Yep.
So we get her first appearance. So then, Skinner's on the side with Mrs. Krabappel, and he tells him that Milhouse stinks and say they get worse every year. And then, after Milhouse is done, Skinner goes out there and he's like, "Oh, good job. I think this is the best group we've ever had."
Yep.
Good Lord. So then next up, and I don't know why you would allow Bart Simpson into a talent show. That just seems like a terrible idea. And it was, because Bart Simpson's talent is doing impressions. And his first one is Principal Skinner. "I'm dumb," and like holds his nose and like makes fun of Principal Skinner. And so, and then after that, his next one is Lunch Lady Doris. And Bleeding Gums Murphy loves it. He's laughing and he gives Bart a 10.
Yep.
And so I thought it was funny that I'm surprised they would let Bart into a talent show, though.
Well, Skinner was like, and that's 1,000 days detention or so.
Yeah. Oh my God. So then we cut back to Moe's, and Homer is pleading and begging with the guy to reopen King Tut's. And he's like, "Here, let me show you a picture of the little girl you're going to let down." And he like flips through his wallet. He's like, "Well, I don't have one."
Yep. Because Homer's not a good father right now.
Correct.
And so Moe asked Jerry to open up because Moe saved Jerry's life and his wife from a car fire. I don't see Moe being the guy to save someone's life, but I mean, if he's a customer, I guess
yes,
that might make more sense. Yeah. And so Jerry agrees and asks Homer what he needs. He's like, "Ha, I do know. I wrote it down." And he lifts a 4.5 reed. "Okay, what instrument?" "Oh." And so they go over to the shop, and he's like, trombone, trombone, clarinet, saxophone, or saxophone. It's like, "Wait, what's that last one?" "Saxophone." "Lisa, stop playing that infernal saxophone." "That's it. Alto or tenor?"
Now here's a question. So are there clarinets is just one instrument? There's like no different variations of a clarinet?
No, there's soprano clarinet. I mean, there's different levels of clarinet. Same as
so. Now
saxophone.
here's the thing with Homer. I could understand him not knowing that.
Yes, that one he wouldn't know because all he does is shout, "Stop playing your saxophone."
And I don't think Lisa would ever be like, "Well, it's an alto saxophone."
No, she
who's
wouldn't.
gonna frickin' remember that?
Yeah.
So,
and so back at so I mean, it's really funny. And so back at the school, we see Sherry and Terry doing knife throwing, which, once again, how is that even allowed? I mean, they're good at it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that would be allowed. And so Marge is sitting next to Lisa. She's trying to reassure her that Homer will be there. And then she thinks of what could be happening to Homer. And one is a flat tire. She's like, A bear has Homer in a tree. She's like, not likely. Homer abducted by aliens. And I like how, once again, not King and Kodos.
I'm a little surprised that.
Chose random aliens. And then she's like, "Oh, that's too far-fetched." And then she's finally Homer drinking at Moe. She's like, "Bingo." And so right before Lisa, we get some kid singing "My Ding-a-Ling" by Chuck Berry up on stage. He's like, "My ding-a-ling, my ding-a-ling, I want you to play with my ding-a-ling.
And then Skinner pulls him off.
Pulls him. Hey, who's approving these acts?
No
No
the
one?
producers of The Simpsons?
Apparently.
Well, apparently they had a hard time getting the copyright for that song. And then a little bit of a hard time getting it through Fox's censors.
Well, yeah. But I mean, there's so many other talents you could have done.
But
juggling.
It's funny. It's hilarious, though.
I know, but that just, God. I mean, there's some bad talents you could do, but yeah, I don't quite understand it. And so we see Homer running through the halls to deliver the read, and hears, a bad saxophonist up on stage. And he's like, I hate to be that kid's father. And he walks through and sees that it's Lisa. And, she's up on stage crying. She's complaining to Skinner, oh, it's the reed. And Skinner's like, sure, it's the reed. Let's give a hand for Lisa and her wacky sax.
Well, and before that, while she's playing, groundskeeper Willie goes, oh, it sounds like the gopher that I caught in my lawnmower. I'm like, jeez.
I guess there's gophers at Springfield Elementary.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And so after that, Homer's kind of in the back clapping, like, yeah, woo. And then apparently just Homer takes Lisa to Phineas Q Butterfat's 5,600 flavors of ice cream. I guess, okay, so the regulars, all the Ben and Jerry's, the what's that other Haagen-Dazs?
I think that's the joke. I think you're thinking about this a little too hard.
I don't know. Getting to 31 flavors is pretty rough with Baskin Robbins.
Ben and Jerry's has like 100 flavors.
I know. They're huge. They can do a lot.
So, Homer takes Lisa out for ice cream to try to make up for the reed thing. And some guy wheelbarrows over a big ass sundae that cost $88.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ice cream.
Yeah, a little bit too much. And he's like, okay, who ordered the Mount Belly egg? He's like, I ordered it for my little girl. Takes one small bite. I'm done.
Well, she's sad. Lisa's sad at Homer, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, I forgive you. You didn't mean that. You're right. I didn't. And so we go back to The Simpsons, and Homer puts in a tape labeled Baby Lisa. And so we see Baby Lisa taking her first steps, but Homer is watching Fantasy Island. And he's like, are you recording this? Yeah. I'll watch it later.
And I'm guessing this is the first time he actually watched it.
Probably. And then we get another instance of him watching the tape, and Lisa says Dada, but he's too busy strangling Bart. So yeah, this is probably the first time. It's not the first time we see it, but it might have been the first time it happens. But even then, I think he might have strangled Bart as a baby, or at least attempted to.
I mean, he got Bart pretty good as a baby. I mean, maybe he was like 3 or 4, but I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago where it was like, oh, this is the first time Bart strangled, but I would have to go, this is technically the first time.
It's not the first time we've seen it, though.
No, but this is the first instance of Bart being strangled. I thought maybe Homer, like, from that moment, Marge's like, Homer, don't do that. And then from that moment to the pink shirt episode, he's like, okay, you know what? I'm out. I'm going to strangle him now.
So after that, Homer confesses to Marge that he's been a bad father, and she's like, well, just spend time with her. So they spend time together.
Drinking tea.
Yep.
And pushing Lisa on the swing, which he pushes too hard and apparently it just flings her off.
Or maybe she's just so sad that she just didn't want to hold on anymore and falls off.
Maybe.
After that, we get Marge and Homer lying in bed. And Marge insists just to keep on spending more time with her. She'll come around. And Homer says if he does it, he will turn fruity. And that is not a good joke.
Not anymore.
It's 91. That's just, ugh. I heard that. I'm like, ooh, that did not date well.
No, but all. I mean, he's doing girly things. I mean, to be fair, as a father of a boy, wanting,
So if he wanted to do a tea party, you wouldn't do it?
it'd be a beer party. Okay, maybe
But if
that's
he-
going too far.
No, if he wanted to be like, hey, Dad, let's drink, let's have a tea party with my stuffed animals, you would do it because you love your son.
Yeah, but I'd be like, why? In my
He
head.
wants a tea party.
Yeah, I would do it, but in my head, I'd be like, why?
Maybe he had a tea party at school.
Maybe.
So anyways, Homer tells Marge that he's like, maybe I'll just buy her that stupid pony she's been begging me for. And Marge is like, that's a bad idea. And you know how expensive those things are? And she's like, please promise me you won't get a pony.
Yep. And he's like, "Bah. That's not a real word. You're not even saying real words. Buh. Snuh."
Yeah.
But I like how he's like, Marge's like, we can't afford to buy a pony. It's like, Marge, with today's gasoline prices, we can't afford not to buy a pony. And I'm like, but in the early 90s, wasn't gas pretty low though? Like,
I mean, I think it was like
150. I mean, I remember, okay, when I was 16, I remember gas prices were down to like under $1, like 89 cents, 99 cents a gallon.
I mean, when I was in high school, that would have been 2001. I do remember gas prices being in the upper dollar range to
Yeah, but this is 91. I'm talking about.
I know.
Like,
so like
early
that's
on.
but like that's 10 years forward in time. So yeah, I'd have to imagine that gasoline prices in the early 90s were probably around 80 to like $1.20.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess maybe in Springfield, gas prices were like California, like
Maybe.
$3-4 a gallon. Maybe I guess I don't seem to know. But Homer obviously ignores Marge and goes to the all creatures great and cheap. Yes, they were great pets, but I don't know if
they
you
were
want
also
it
cheap.
Is like, I like how the sign is, you pet it, you bought it.
Wow. Could you imagine if a pet store had that policy?
Well, it would keep people like Shay from petting animals in the store.
But I would want to pet the animals.
Yeah.
But I don't want to buy the animals. I just want to pet the animals.
Just go there to pet them. Well, they probably don't want you getting your germs all over them either.
Probably.
Yeah, and so he goes up to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper's just kind of staring off. It's like, what's that smell? Oh, it's you. Like, okay. Apparently today, Homer.
Do you get it? You get it? Because pet stores are smelly, but Homer smells worse. Do you get it? Sorry.
Yeah, but Homer takes... I mean, okay, to be fair, we actually know that Homer does take showers.
That's correct.
So,
maybe it's like a Saturday and he just didn't feel like showering that day.
Maybe. Just seems kind of weird. And so he goes up to the shopkeeper. Do you sell ponies? Yeah, right over here. And it's a Scottish deerhound. He's like,
I don't think that's a real animal, by the way.
It might be. It might be like a not Great Dane, Greyhound type dog. I bet it's real. I mean, I know the Simpsons do a lot of fake things, but I feel like it's got to be real. But I like how it's like, that's not a horse or a pony. And so Homer's like, okay, fine. Let's go to the Grateful Gelding Stables, which I'm assuming is somewhere in Springfield.
Maybe.
And the horse trainer, Millicent, she's like, oh, so you want to buy Homer? And Homer's like, oh, whatever the cost, just to make my kid happy. And she's like, how much is that one? Sir, that one is $500,000. It's like, then she goes like the pedigree of the horse. He's like, oh, what about like something about discount, like a discount pony factory? She's like, I hope that doesn't exist. She's like, our ponies start at $5,000 cash. And Homer's like, isn't there a pound where you could pick up cheap ponies that ran away from home?
I certainly hope
not. She's like, okay. It's like, oh, can you take a check? And he's like,
this is predated 2054.
No, it was 2012.
I thought it was 2054.
Oh, was it? Was it that far?
I think so.
Oh, well, at least we know in 2054 Homer will be able to finally get that pony.
Yeah. By the way, backtracking a little bit, you are right. A Scottish deerhound is a real dog.
Yes. And so Homer heads to the employee credit union, which apparently the power plant has a credit union. And there's a sign that says, "Ask about our paycheck docking plan."
Well, I mean, I suppose if you take out credit from the power plant, they could just, say, all right, well, we're going to take it out of your paycheck.
Yep.
So.
And so the employee there can't do a $5,000 loan because that's too much. So Mr. Burns and Smithers shows up. And I like how Burns is like, "Isn't that cute, Smithers? He's joining the horsey set." "That's it, isn't it? You're not planning to eat it."
Oh, God.
Oh, God, no. And then, so he fills out the thing, and I like how Burns does his, like, evil laugh at Simpson. And he was like, "Oh, I was just laughing at something Smithers did earlier." He's like, "I didn't do something funny earlier." "Shut up, Smithers."
Oh my God. So then, Homer gets the money. He goes back to the Grateful Gelding stables and picks up the pony. And Homer is shoving the pony into the back seat. Like, I don't think that pony is fitting back there. Clearly it did, though.
Yes.
Because normally you get like a trailer and you hitch it and you drive off. But clearly this pony is small enough to fit in the Simpsons back seat of Homer's car.
Well, it is a pony. Ponies are slightly small.
I mean, I suppose if it's like a kid pony, like a baby pony.
I mean, look at it like this. Look at it like this. So, if all of you guys remember the movie Tommy Boy.
Yes.
Tommy Boy and Richard, they hit a deer.
The deer.
And it was a pretty good full-size deer.
Yeah, I suppose.
And that fit in the back of Tommy Boy's car. Or I guess that was Richard's car, technically.
Yeah, it was Richard's car.
But it fit back there. So I'm assuming a pony, it might be hard to get it back there. But I think
you did see him like shoving it.
So. I mean, eventually, I think once you physically get the body structure of the pony into the back seat, I think it would fit.
Now here's my question. So for this next scene, so Homer somehow got Lisa's pony into the house, upstairs, and into her bed without waking her up, waking anybody up. And so Lisa wakes up and she sees the pony's head and she screams. And this is a reference to the horse head scene in The Godfather.
Yep.
Which, excellent movie. And she wakes everybody up. And so she like rides it through the hall and Marge is unhappy. And Bart asks Homer why Lisa got a pony. And Homer says it's because she stopped loving him. And Bart responds that he doesn't love Homer and he wants a moped. And Homer sees through the ruse and tells Bart he gets squat because he's like, "I know you love me, boy. You don't get anything."
Yep, exactly. So you can't put anything past Bart. Because we all know from the Treehouse of Horror episode, Bart does love his dad.
Yes. But isn't that non-canon?
That one can be. Come on. Bart loves his dad. Let's shove that one in there slightly.
Okay.
Slightly.
Like the pony in the back of Homer's car.
Exactly.
So then, Lisa's spending time with her new pony and she names it Princess. And so Marge is like, "Well, Homer, what are we going to do with the pony?" And Homer goes, "Well, the horse will roam free during the day and sleep between the cars at night." And Marge goes, "That's illegal." And I love Homer's response, "Well, that's for the courts to debate or decide." No, Homer, I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Well, okay, so theoretically, they could have turned the garage into a stable. I mean, Marge parks your car outside, and Homer, turns half of the, makes half of the garage into a stable. That should have been good enough, right?
Yeah. But they don't do that. They take it to, I'm assuming, Gelding Stables.
Yes,
again.
they take it back there. Yeah.
And so rent for a stable is $530 a month, which probably is accurate.
Fairly.
I didn't ask any.
No,
if anybody owns a horse or a pony and you have it at a stable, let us know how much you pay if you feel comfortable so we can know if this is accurate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but on the bill, there's riding lessons and housing and all that. So then we go back to the Simpsons house and Abe is watching Bart and they're playing us. What would you call that? Not Space Invaders. What's the one? Asteroids?
Yeah.
Like an updated version of that. And I love how Bart is screaming at Abe to hit buttons. He's like, "You're the spaceship." Abe's like, he's like, "Wait, I wasn't the guy?" Because it's Abe.
Why is Bart allowing... I mean, yes, it's hilarious, but why would Bart even allow... Maybe he was just trying to make fun of... I mean, it actually looked like he was trying to...
Well, I feel like our grandfather would have played video games with us when we were younger.
Maybe. I guess I don't know. But I did look it up. So... according to Google, if you don't own enough land to support a horse, boarding at a barn or stable is the next best option. A horse is assigned a stall and you're given access to trails, pastures, or arena. The cost of boarding averages $400 to $500 per month.
Okay, so $530.
Yep, so butt can go as high as $1,200 to $2,500 in metropolitan areas. But I'm assuming it's not a metropolitan area. I'm assuming it's somewhere out in Springfield's outskirts.
Yeah. So $530 isn't a bad price.
That's a pretty.
I mean, it's a little bit higher than average, but
and she throws in enunciation too.
Oh yes,
why father?
So Homer walks through and he goes to the kitchen and Marge is at the table going through their financial situation, and she's like, Homer, we can't afford this unless we give up luxuries. And so she's like, Homer, you're gonna have to, give up beer. And Homer just laughs at her.
Yeah, she's like, we're going to have cut down on luxuries. Well, we're always buying Maggie's vaccines for diseases she doesn't have. And Marge is like,
the point.
And Marge is like, actually, I was thinking we could cut down on your beer. Nah, we're not going to be doing that.
Now, here's the thing. So I kind of wonder how much beer the Simpsons buy per month. I mean, Homer is an alcoholic and he also goes to Moe's. So maybe he spends quite a bit of money on beer.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, I'd like to know how much Homer spends on beer.
Yeah, I mean, does he normally buy, though? Does he buy cases or 6-packs normally? I'm trying to...
It's usually a sixer.
So, I mean, maybe he only drinks like 1 or 2 a day at home. Obviously, he goes to Moe's, but maybe he only drinks a couple at home. I don't know.
But here's the thing. If you're going to the bar almost every night, you're probably spending a good $20 to $30.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So maybe Homer spends like $300-400 on beer.
Yeah, that would pay for just over half of at least the stable fees.
Yeah, so give up the beer, Homer.
Yeah.
And then I love how Homer goes, first you didn't want me to get the pony. Now you want me to take it back. Make up your mind. Clearly she did. And so Homer is like, gotta win money. And he goes to the Quickie Mart and buys a scratch off. He's like, Liberty Bell? Liberty Bell? Liberty Bell. Hey, I got all 3. All right, Homer, I have to check it to make sure you won. And he holds his thumb up against a cherry.
Oh, Mr. Homer, what has reduced you to such cheap chicanery?
If you needed money, you could have implored about our help sign.
No. You could have robbed me or implored about our help sign.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
He's like, oh, you're hiring? He's like, well, you have to work at the night shift. And he's like, I'll take it. And Apu's like, oh, to the day that we could finally, go do something. And so then we cut back to the stables and there's Ralph. And I don't know if it was Wendell or who else it was. The black. I don't know who the black kid is, what his name is, but they're sitting there watching Lisa apparently. And Ralph is just talking to Lisa, it's like how she is on the thing, but it definitely did not sound like Ralph.
I think the point of that was because they were at the stables that he sounded like more mature.
Oh,
I think that was the point.
Maybe,
I think that was the point.
But it was just
I'm pretty sure that was the point.
It just did not sound right. Like it really didn't. I know that maybe they were trying to make a point, but it just didn't. It didn't sound right. Like having Ralph have a different voice just to make that joke, and it was only a 5-6 second scene, so it just seemed you could have got rid of that. That was just kind of junk. And so we cut back to the Quickie Mart, and Apu's kind of
showing him his balloons.
showing him his job, and Apu's like, I won't lie to you. On this job, you will be shot at. He's like, I suggest you take the bullet in the shoulder.
Yeah, because you have a choice in where the bullet hits you. I'm getting robbed. Please, mister, just shoot me right here. That's all I want. You point, No, if somebody's going to rob and shoot you, they're just going to shoot you, not think twice.
Yeah, and so we cut back to the Simpsons house, and Homer, tells Marge that, he's going to be working at the Quickie Mart, and Homer's like, I'll work from midnight to 8, come home, sleep for 5 minutes, eat breakfast, sleep 6 more minutes, shower, then I have 10 minutes to bask in Lisa's love, then I'm off to the plant for a fresh as a daisy.
I do like the fact that when Homer comes home to tell Marge that, he's like, Marge, I need to talk to you in private. And Bart's like, oh, you're in trouble. And he tells, then he tells Marge. And then I love the fact that Homer just falls over because he's exhausted.
Yep. And then Bart's like, I think Mom shot Dad.
Well, killed him.
Or killed him.
Like, really? That's your first
bang. Well, you hear a loud bang. Who knows what it is?
Yeah.
And so we cut back to the Quickie Mart, and there's Homer stealing jerky and his squishy. And who's like, Homer, is your head in the the squishy machine? I mean, come on. And so then we cut back to the stables, and Lisa's playing her sax at the pony.
Yeah.
And then we head to the Fiesta Terrace for Single Living, where we see Apu apparently in bed with Princess Jasmine.
Well, I mean, he's a single guy.
But a stripper, that doesn't seem like Apu. Well, maybe it does.
She's not a stripper. She's an exotic dancer.
Okay, fine.
And
a stripping exotic dancer. I get it.
Strippers take off their clothes. Exotic dancers do not.
Oh, fair enough.
And so, Apu tells it's Princess Jasmine, and he tells her that he has to go back to the Quickie Mart to check up on Homer. And when he gets there, Homer's sleeping, of course, because he's not sleeping at all. And he tells Homer to do some work, and he falls over again in between the automatic sliding doors, and they just keep hitting Homer in the head. Yep. Oh my God, that's great. Homer's done with a shift. He's driving home. And while driving home, Homer falls asleep behind the wheel, and he dreams that he's in Slumberland, which is a reference to Winsor McCay's Little Nemo in Slumberland, which...
Yep, and this is not... The funny thing about this is I always recall this scene from... Was it was the April Fool's beer exploding one where we get the flashback montage, and we see this scene again.
Yeah.
And this scene always reminds me of that episode as opposed to this one.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I see this scene and I automatically think the flashback episode as opposed to the episode that it actually came from. Yeah. But no, it's a good little Homer falls asleep driving thing. It was fun.
Marge reveals...
Well, he's at the plant. Well, he's at the plant and working with his feet up, kind of.
Oh yeah.
And we see Homer's new shoes are like the red.
Well, sneakers. I don't know if they're new because they look like really scuffed up and worn. So he probably owns a couple pairs of sneakers.
Ooh, interesting. Not just those black work shoes we normally see Homer in.
Yeah, he might own a couple. Well, don't forget he bought those shoes that Santa's little helper destroyed.
The assassins, yeah.
Yeah. So he probably owns a couple pairs of tennies.
Yeah.
Everybody owns at least 2 pairs of shoes.
I guess Homer can be that.
Okay. So then Marge reveals to the kids that Homer has been working 2 jobs to afford Lisa's pony. After Homer goes to work, he's like, I'm going to go for an 8-hour walk.
Yeah.
and he gets to the car and he falls asleep and his head hits the horn, and Marge and the kids go see what's wrong. And I love how he hits the steering wheel and the airbag goes off and he uses that as a pillow.
Yep.
And so they're like, oh, well, Lisa, this is what your father's doing to, make sure you can keep and love your pony. And Lisa goes, after all these years of lobbying to be treated like an adult, this is blown up in my face.
Yep. And it's funny to see that too, because we've talked about it in the past. Lisa's kind of kiddish side, like being a kid, and then her wanting to be a grown-up side. And this seems, she's like, I've been arguing to get this damn pony for, years now. My dad finally gets it. And well, now I gotta...
She's 8. She could go get a job.
Yeah, right. Well, Bart was 10, got a job to get a comic book, and we all saw how that went.
Yeah. And but don't forget Lisa's smarter.
Yeah. So she could probably do stuff to... and so I think it's funny. So Homer was supposed to be going to the Quickie Mart at that time, right? And so we cut Homer, Bart telling him to fill the squishy to the top and stuff like that.
That could have been before school, because don't forget the Quickie Mart is 24/7.
Yeah.
So maybe Bart went in at like 6:30 in the morning for a squishy to make fun of Homer.
Yeah,
I could see Bart waking up that early to do it.
I guess, to be fair, we know Bart skateboards around town. Guess we technically don't know how far away from the house the Quickie Mart is, but I thought it was at night. I guess my point is, I thought it was at night.
It was, like, but he could have gone during. Well, he could have gone in the morning. He could have gone in the morning.
No, I'm talking about the scene. I thought the scene was taking place at night after Homer left for the job, and I was like,
no, I think that was later.
You think that was?
I think that was a little bit of a time jump. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was daytime.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, at least it looked like daytime.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought, what are Bart and Lisa doing there in the middle of the night?
Lisa wasn't there.
Yeah, she was. She was outside.
Oh, I didn't see her.
Yeah, because she was watching your dad do the Bart thing.
Oh, that's
because she was trying to see, how her dad.
Maybe it was a Saturday.
Maybe. Well, but still, at night they should be in bed sleeping if it was at night. And then
it wasn't at night. It was during the day.
Well, then Homer wouldn't have been there. They would have. Dude, come on. Who wakes up before? The only time Bart ever woke, or Lisa ever woke up at 6 a.m. was to wake up him for her birthday, or to sing her song.
You didn't wake up at 6 a.m. to watch Saturday morning cartoons?
I mean, I woke up when I woke up. I didn't set an alarm or anything.
I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and they went in.
So it was right at the end of Homer's?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And so Lisa walks in, and she's like, Homer, I've decided to give up the pony. And so we kind of cut to the stables where, she's saying goodbye and telling the horse trainer she likes listening to jazz in the morning and contemporary at night. And she's like, although my facial expression hasn't changed, my heart is breaking. And so Lisa confesses to Homer, I love a big dumb animal that's more than the pony. He's like, aw, you need me to get you a hippopotamus?
I don't know if hippos are actually dumb, though.
I don't know. They're dangerous.
They are very dangerous.
Definitely very dangerous. And so Homer quits his job at the Quickie Mart, and he's like, I love the line because I don't know if there was a movie or TV show or something like that must have said it before it, but he's like, you could take this job and re-staff it instead of shove it. Now, yeah. I don't know pre-1991 if this was actually a slogan for anything.
Well, it's not a slogan for
anything. Well, someone had to have said it first, unless the Simpsons said it first.
No, I'm sure it was an everyday lexicon thing, even back in the early 90s. Yeah, you can take it and shove it. I'm sure it was. I'm 100% sure people were saying that before 1990, because hippies probably started it.
You think so?
Yes. It's not like the Simpsons created that line specifically.
Maybe. I mean, I guess.
No, they definitely did not create that line. That line has been said probably thousands of times by the time the Simpsons got to it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, so here we go. Take this job and shove it. There was a guy. What was his name? I don't know. It was on a 1980s album.
Yeah.
There was a song. So, yeah. So that's where they took it. Well, that's probably where they took it from. They probably took it from that song, that 1980s song, and then changed the wording to restaff it.
I think you're overthinking it.
No.
Yes.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
so at the end, Apu monologues at the end of the show as Lisa's being carried away. It's like, he slept, he stole, he was rude to the customers, still. There goes the best damn employee a convenience store ever had. And credits.
Oh my God. When I saw the title of this episode, I vaguely remember this episode. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this episode because it's a very Homer Lisa centric episode. And those usually aren't my favorite episodes. But it did have some good laughs. It had some good jokes. I like the ice cream shop. I thought that was a funny bit. It's not really for me. Like, it's one of those episodes where we see character development kind of from Homer and, Lisa making tough decisions. But overall, it's not a favorite of mine. It's not a bad episode by any means. I'll give it a 3.
Don't have a
For
cow
that.
man.
Yeah, don't have a cowman. It's not. I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah,
I'm not going to search it out, but
No, I mean, it wasn't definitely my favorite episode either. I think after rewatching it, funny enough, though, I was kind of going into it thinking I'm going to give it probably a 2 or a 3 because, it wasn't very memorable, even though I kind of remembered it. I love the Quickie Mart stuff. I'm glad, Apu is back. I love the fact that Homer took a job at the Quickie Mart. That's just...
I don't think it's the first. I think there's a future episode where he works at the Quickie Mart as well.
Yeah, maybe one other time. I don't know why Apu would ever hire him back, but
Yeah.
But some of the things just where the whole Ralph thing just caught me off guard, and I just didn't get why that even needed to be a scene in the episode.
Yeah, probably because they needed to fill time.
Oh, there's other ways to fill time. We could have had
You're not
Burns
wrong.
laughing for another 5 minutes at the cash at the union,
The employee credit.
yeah, the
union?
employee credit union. That would have been even funnier, I think. But
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of floating between a 3 and a 4 just for certain things. But I think I'm kind of with you. I think a 3, don't have a cowman, just kind of where I said. I mean, I feel like 1 and 2 are really just for episodes that just don't hit. And this, I think, with just enough laughs in it,
Oh yeah,
kind
absolutely.
of makes it to that 3 point.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go 3. Don't have a cowman.
Yep.
So one other thing I do want to mention, which I didn't mention earlier. So when Homer puts the tape into the machine, it's actually a beta tape for a VCR. It's a beta tape VCR.
Interesting. And in the next episode, we'll be talking about.
I know. That's
VHS.
why I thought that'd be really, really funny.
Yeah.
So let's finish it off like always with our character profile. And this week we have our lovely horse stabler riding instructor person, Millicent. Which it was funny. I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, I wonder who guest voiced for this. And there was no guest voice for it. So kind of sad, but I guess just use who you have. And so her occupation is riding instructor at the Grateful Gilding Stables. Sounds like Katharine Hepburn.
That's what they were going
That's
for.
what they were going for, yep. Loves thoroughbred ponies, which, who doesn't, I guess. And she dislikes people with little appreciation or know-how in breeding and raising ponies.
I mean, if you're a riding instructor, I mean, I guess I could see that.
I don't know how she even let Homer off the property with him shoving that thing in the back of the car.
Yeah. Well, he did give her money.
I guess so. But I don't know. I feel like humane services might come by and stop
Probably.
you at that point. So,
Affectations.
affectations. I'm wealthy, so stop wasting my time routine.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, she does ponies. Ponies bring in a lot of money.
yep.
Also teaches highbrow pronunciation. Free with riding lessons.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
At least she gives something away, right?
Yeah.
So, let's finish off by letting everyone know where they can find us. You can come and see us on Facebook, The Simpsons Did It Podcast. On Instagram, The Simpsons Did It Pod. Over on Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. You can listen to our podcast on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in The Simpsons Did It Podcast, and find us on there. And if you guys would like to support us, like always, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/Simpsons Did It and throw us a few bucks here and there. If
We're working on a few things.
We're working on a few things. If you guys haven't already, stickers should be out by the time that you hear this episode. So if you guys have donated, we'll send out some stickers to you. If you haven't donated yet, just check out our Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that to see some photos of the stickers. And we're looking at other things, stamps, magnets, maybe hats, shirts, stuff like that. So we'll keep you guys posted, and we'll let you know when all that stuff comes out.
Yep.
So until next time, I'm Steven Skolansky.
I'm Robert Skolansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.